You know, there's probably only one thing I like more than recurring revenue, and that's John Fogerty. Oh man, I gotta go. He's from your area.
I know you're gonna go there.
John Fogerty is from San Francisco. You see, most people think he's from the Bayou and all that.
Yeah.
He's from the Bay Area, and he's a
idea.
genius. It's an absolute gem. Have you ever seen him in
Not
concert?
live,
No. I'm waiting for him to come back to Vegas. He was there last May, I think it was, and I was all set to go, but then, you know.
He's coming back to the Win, I think.
Is he really?
I just heard, my husband was in Vegas for the March Madness.
Oh yeah.
And I think
That's where he was. I was
he's
staying at the
coming.
Win, and I saw the.
Yeah,
and I said to my wife, "We gotta go," and then we never went.
Yeah.
All right.
This
Well,
year.
maybe we should all meet at the Win for
Yeah.
the Fogerty concert. Oh, I'm a part-time musician, by the way. I'm trying to figure out how to get recurring revenue for being a part-time hack musician. I don't think anybody's going to sign a subscription to hear me sing.
You never know.
You never know. My special guest, Robbie Kellman Baxter. She's the author of the book, The Membership Economy. Find your super users, master the forever transaction, and build recurring revenue. Robbie, you brought something up during the break that hit me right between the running lights. And that is valuations.
Yeah.
We talk to business owners all the time on this program. I've done years and years and years of business consulting. I think you could help me a lot because I haven't really taken this approach with them. I'm kind of kicking myself now that I haven't, because this is brilliant. Talk about valuation and businesses and how you can up the ante.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at businesses that have traditional transactional models versus the same space but a subscription model, the valuations can be 4 or 5x, what they are in the traditional businesses. So a lot of companies actually come to me and say, we want to move to subscription pricing because we want to get a better valuation, which to me is a little bit backwards, because you want to hopefully provide value to the customers as
Sure.
well. But it's undeniable that you'll get a much better valuation if you have this predictable cash flow, this predictable recurring revenue.
We're going through that in the securities industry right now, where,
Yeah.
and it's being forced in many respects by the so-called fiduciary standard. But when I first grew up in the business, there wasn't recurring revenue. You got a big old fat commission,
Yeah.
one-time transaction, and basically nothing thereafter. And it made it, it was lucrative in the short run, and it killed you in the long
Yeah,
run, because in
lumpy.
the long run, you had all these clients you had to service, but you had no revenue coming in to service them. So the client
Yeah.
actually lost out in the long run. But what they've determined is the recurring revenue model is actually far better for the firm in the long run, because it's far better for the customer
Exactly.
in the long run.
It's good for everybody when you do it right, because it aligns the goals in this case, right? So my advisor only does well if I do well in the long term, which is what I want to do also.
Sure.
Right? So it's better for me as a consumer because they're doing right by me for the long term. We have a real relationship, and it's better for them because they know I'm going to pay them on a predictable schedule. So it's easier to plan for the future. It's more profitable, and it's better able to grow their business.
Your company is Peninsula Strategies.
Yes.
I think I get it now, the whole Fogerty Bay Area kind of thing. Talk about your business and how you can help some of the folks out there that are listening.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with everybody from very small mom and pops up to some of the largest companies like Netflix on how to move from anonymous transaction to subscription all the way over to membership. And figuring out how do we change our pricing, how do we manage expectations of Wall Street, how do we think about our offering, what are the implications for customer support, all of those kinds of things that together create the membership economy and this holy grail of predictable recurring revenue.
So well, let's go back to the financial side, because obviously I've trained thousands of financial advisors
Yeah.
over the years. Some that have grown up on the insurance side of the house were strictly transactional.
Right.
Most that have grown up in the brokerage world have already made the transition to recurring revenue. How might you help those on the transactional side change the model of their business to a recurring revenue model?
Yeah, well, so setting aside all the regulatory issues and just kind of
Which are many.
Which are many. Thinking about kind of the business of it, you would want to think about who are the customers that you really want to target. So who's going to benefit the most from having a long-term relationship as opposed to those one-time transactions? And they're probably people who are looking for something a little more predictable. Maybe they're slightly less involved in their investing. So you sort of want to know who you're serving and who you're not going to serve as well, because as you know, you can't be all things to all people. And then you want to think through, the pricing structure, the way you talk about it, and then you want to build in word of mouth. You want to think about, how do I build viral into my actual business model?
Well, you brought up the term. I had actually written it down during the break. How do you get your message out? And in particular, if you want to go national with whatever strategy it is to take advantage of the multiplication process, how do you do that? I have found that very frustrating, probably because, I grew up in an era where we used abacus. We didn't have like the internet and all that stuff.
I think so. When you think about viral, I think about it as there's organic and then there's artificial viral. So organic is when it's like the Hotmail example where I send you an email and at the bottom of the email it says, if you want your own email account, click here to get your own Hotmail account. Right? That's organic. I didn't do anything. I didn't talk to you and say, hey, Ray, get yourself an email account. They're really great. But it happens organically. Sometimes you can do that where it's organic. So for example, in your world, that might be with family members, right? Do you want to set up an account for your children? Well, as you do that, that organically brings your children into the office. And then when they grow up and they're thinking about how they're going to manage their money, they just naturally go with the same firm because they have a relationship already. And then there's inorganic or artificial, which is when you encourage or incentivize people to reach out to their friends and recommend you. So an example there is, I gave the Netflix example where it says, if you have friends who might benefit from having a Netflix account, you can give them a 2-week free trial, right? And so then I click on it and I type in your email address and say, hey, Ray, I know you like movies. I'm giving you a 2-week free trial.
How do you know I like movies?
I just had a feeling.
Robbie Kellman Baxter, she's the author of the book, The Membership Economy. Find your super users, master the forever transaction, and build recurring revenue. I'm going to make a guess that it's PeninsulaStrategies.com.
Yes, it is.
What if you can't spell Peninsula?
Then membership economy.
Membership
also
economy.
There, yes.
How did you come up with that term? That seems to be a viral kind of term.
Yeah, well, I started off thinking about it just as subscriptions, but then what I realized was a subscription is just a pricing decision, and membership is about how you feel. And so I really wanted to capture that for the organizations that I was teaching, because if you have a subscription by itself, you don't necessarily build a relationship, you don't necessarily establish trust, and you don't win loyalty. And those are the things that businesses really need if they want to truly capture the benefits of membership.
Costco comes to mind.
Yes.
All right, so
Yeah.
Costco, I pay my little membership fee every single year, and on Saturdays I go and get a bunch of free food.
Included, not free.
Well, it's included. Yeah, exactly. Well, the sample this and I sample that.
Totally.
And I don't even have to buy lunch.
Right.
Although I could go outside and get a hot dog for $1.50.
Right.
And a drink. I think they give you a drink too for that.
Yeah.
I mean, the concept is brilliant.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about Costco, and I'm seeing this actually with other organizations now, is this idea of you pay a premium to have access to great deals. Right? Because once you go into the store, the deals are so crazy that you might come home with, a case of ketchup or a trip to Peru or a bicycle.
You just looked in my pantry.
But that is the value proposition. You pay for the privilege of having access to the deals.
You pay for the privilege of spending 10 times more than you had intended to spend just going to get mayo.
Right. Right. It's too expensive to shop there. The deals are too good.
They're too good.
I can't afford it.
I was just pitched the other day, as a matter of fact. One of the travel companies, I won't out them, but one of the travel companies have created this special super whiz-bang deal that give you all of these freebies. And the pitch was outstanding. I didn't buy it, but the pitch was outstanding, and it was based on this same membership economy. It's brilliant. You are brilliant. PeninsulaStrategies.com. If you want to get as brilliant as Robbie, I'd go to her website right now and hire her. I'm thinking seriously about doing it. Oh, and look at that on the screen. You got one of those drawing things. I love those.
Video.
Yeah. See that? Another drawing a picture of me? Oh, no, that was a picture of you. Sorry. Up until the hair, we looked alike. Thank you so much. God bless. We'll talk again. Folks, stick around for emails. This is The Ray Lucia Show.